Everyone, wherever you are, and welcome to another exciting episode of AI Climbing with Sheikh. We will continue our ascent into the world of AI and the AI models. Again, this one is one without code, more towards the architecture and the solution side of the house. And again, as I said, right, like the whole idea is with lot of this AI tools and agentic frameworks and you name it, right? You Google it, everyone is talking about it. I sort of did a step back to understand, like, as you will deploy and scale. So, what are the different ethical and security aspects that you should be covering? And that is pretty much the topic of today. And before nudging into this topic, it's very important, right? Like to see AI from the ethics and a morality point of view, right? So there are a lot of theories, and in the nutshell, you call it utilitarianism or deontology and a few others. The whole point is right, like there with data there is no definition of right and wrong because things are different in different parts of society. But then there are some so again, when there is difference in different parts of the culture and society, so tuning becomes important, right? So there is no cookie cutter approach over here. And then the other aspect from the business aspect is really about the AI model stealing, right? You got it, right? Like the models steal your data, and there is a big chance of copyright theft. And obviously, I have faced this issue. Like, you build a content, and then other people without any endorsement and the point is your creative art and this, because everything is present digitally online, and how you will ensure distribute. So it's not just about security, it's also about distribute for safe use of copyright, and then the guardrails around it. So that is pretty much like the topic of today. And yeah, let's start our journey. And again, like these all large language models or AI, they are really becoming the brains behind everything we search online, everything we use, different tools like the co-pilot for coding, and lot of customer agents, finance, legal, you name it, right? But everything is not as beautiful, and there is a hidden risk of the prompt injection and model stealing and remote code execution without consent. And it's very important that you understand those attack surfaces as well and use different platforms and tools, like some ONNX, and we will talk about it. But the whole point here is how to put the right guardrails around it, right? Because that is pretty much the most important piece over here. And what you are seeing is actually a classic example from the book by Lahtinen, right? It's actually a very famous book in the field of AI, and the point it want to depict here is the GANs, or in other words, the deepfakes, right? By the way, except the top row, everyone is artificially generated, and now you, based on the similarity, you can actually understand, right? Like, what is the element of copyright and stealing and theft over here, right? Because everything is actually not about tech. And yeah, with this, let us start our journey and what we have today, right? So the first piece where I really want to start is like the concept whether somebody can steal your model or copyright, and this is real, right? And how it happens through sending a large number of carefully crafted queries, And attackers can extract, actually they can build and mimic your model, and then systematically through APIs or others they can change or tune it, right? And yeah, that is, like creating lot of issues. And how you should trust, what are the different ML ops metrics, and ultimately, right, like how you can protect your business. So, in this first part, I will be focusing more about understanding of those different sort of attacks, right? Like, because sometimes they are different than platform or cloud or all those domains. And the most important one is the model deserialization, right? Like, and you know what is the meaning of deserialization over here? Because ultimately, right, there is a one big fat model, and then ultimately when you will infer and you will be using it. So ultimately, like. You will be like splitting or using part of it, let's say. And yeah, and actually that's mainly on the runtime, right, where you need to do deserialization. And there is a lot of tools like Pickle, Marshall, Keras, H5 or HDC5, right, that really allow to make use of your code snippets and arbitrary code execution, right? And this is especially vulnerable during the model loading in the untrusted environment. And the key risk it opens is the remote access of the codes. And once you will manipulate and use those models, some will maneuver those. Going from here, so this is the critical one, right? The model deserialization. Then we have the ONNX directory traversal. So the ONNX is the default format of many models, and they can read or overwrite different files, unintended files, right? In this case, so the whole idea is attackers exploit the weak file system to pivot into the host systems, right? And so right, based on the different queries and workflows within your models, ultimately, like these models can overwrite something which they are not supposed to. And then again, Keras safe mode, many LLMs applications primarily skip this safe execution. And what it actually means, if you don't isolate and run those models, right, ultimately a lot of unfiltered or uninterrupted code execution or inputs are possible. If I go on the like Hugging Face model risks, so this is more like the model risk in simple, right? So the same simplicity that makes Hugging Face great is also making some risk, right? Like, because those pre-trained models can be misunderstood if they are done without some sandboxing or verification. So the runtime security practices can actually mitigate these different side of security controls, right? um, like, and how we do it, right, like, because we really need to isolate this model serving containers from one another and different hosts, right? And if that is not the case, then actually it creates a lot of risk. And yeah, so that is the different directions, right? The model deserializations and ONNX directory and the models and the like the workflow side. And now, if I go into the guardrails again, there is this famous guide from OWASP, right? That explains the different guardrails across the different layers. And what actually do these guardrails help us validate, filter, and secure both inputs and output of a model, right? And they are published, I think, every quarter or so. And What it explains is like what are the top 10 vulnerabilities, threats, prompt injection, data leaks, spoofing, and more, and then how we can use those guidelines to actually protect it. So let's try to see what is the latest one, and I just land into this page, and as you can see, this is a 2025 guide, and let's try to see what is coming out of it. Actually, there is a full guide. I think this is over here. And if you go over here, actually, you can download this guy. And so this is pretty much a very handy resource, right? So let's try to see. You can go and read it, but ultimately it explains you, right? Like, I will just try to go with one, right? Let's see the prompt injection, what is inside this guide. And yeah, so you can see, right, all of this sensitive information. Number one should be the prompt one. Where is number one? All right. So as you can see, it explaining this vulnerability, how the different scenarios and what you should do to actually prevent it, and then again it gives you with an example for different attack scenarios which you can automate and test it, and most important, different frameworks like the meter and Lime and others which you can use it here. So that is, and you can go through it, right? Perhaps a good point to apply that and integrate into your application at some point. But for the time being, I just want to limit in terms of time. But you really need to see this side of the house. And then again, there is a lot of open source, and so the Llama Guard, right? It's a good one, and you can use it not just for Llama in general, for other ecosystem. And it has a suite of many security classification models. Again, it's multi-model. You can use it for text and videos and this and that, and it can detect lot of toxic, biased, or harmful inputs and output, and you can integrate it easily through a webhook, or if you know about the OpenShift, some ELIRA and other flows. And then again, now we should not forget about NVIDIA, and NVIDIA has this famous NeMo. So more. NeMo is a framework in NVIDIA used for multimodal, and it provides a detailed validation framework around multimodal AI. It monitor inputs, and based on the outputs, it explains for some policy violations, and most important, it aligns well with the enterprise grade security asks, right? And that is pretty much important because this is well integrated into NVIDIA ecosystem, and you apply a layered validation mechanisms, and allow something and restrict something, and yeah, I think that's is the key ones over here. And with this again, I just want to give you a summary that AI security is not a afterthought. You should really see it from the design time. You should understand your attack surfaces and apply the right guardrails. So I give you a sample of OWASP guidelines that pretty much based on the latest runs, because it is this, just like the software, this security posture is like keep on evolving. So you should keep an eye on this, and understand the different use cases and test those, and most important, sandbox your AI, right? If you have not heard, Coco Containers is another framework on top of Kata, which is looking into this. And with this, you can build a more trustworthy AI in your blueprint. Again, that's all for today. But in case you are like our channel and you see a value out of it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep sharing your comments. And that is why actually we are building it. And with this, that's the end of this episode. And I will come back next with some code repos. And thank you for joining our journey and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.